In this video, we're going to model this water drain. This will be a quick one, so let's go ahead and get started. We're going to begin by creating a cube and resizing this cube to width 20, height 600, and depth 10. This blocks in our water drain pipe. These are rough dimensions just to get the size of the drain to match the scale of the building. Let's modify the pivot point. And we need to modify the scale a little bit. So I'm going to set height to 580. And width to 18. And this is pretty good size. Now let's select the top face and extrude it. I'm going to begin creating the top of the water drain where the water would enter. Let's select the top 4 vertices and scale them to the side. And then select the 2 front vertices and move them forward to create more wider shape. I'm going to hold down X to make sure to snap this water drain to the grid and align it to the building. Select the top face and extrude it again to complete the shape. So the top is almost done. We'll come back to create the interior, but we want to move down to the bottom right now and create the angled water spout. This is where the water would come out from. So I'm going to duplicate this entire water drain and rotate it 90 degrees. I'm going to move it down and forward and delete the top extruded shapes. We don't need them. All we need is the shape of the water drain, this cube itself. So I'm going to push these vertices in, move the shape down so it's lower than the bottom face of the water drain. Then we need to combine these 2 objects so it's one object. Select them both, hold Shift, right click hold, and choose Combine. And now we can bridge to create the water drain spout. So select these 2 faces, hold Shift, right click hold, and choose Bridge. Bridge doesn't work on separate objects. This is why we had to combine these 2 objects into one. You want to change curve type to blend and then set divisions to 4. Next we want to delete these faces right here. This will leave us with the angled water drain spout shape. Let's zoom out and take a look at the overall shape. And it's looking very good. Let's go ahead and finish up the bottom by creating the inner water drain space. I'm going to select these 4 border edges, press Ctrl E to extrude, and set thickness to -1. Then extrude again, and push these extruded edges into the water drain. I'm going to extrude these edges a couple more times, and manually move the vertices to create the interior shape within the water drain. The important thing here is to keep these extruded edges inside the water drain so they don't overlap with the exterior faces, and make sure that the player isn't going to be able to see the back faces if they happen to look inside the drain. So let's go ahead and check that in perspective viewport, and I think that's good enough. The bottom of this water drain is now done. Let's come back up to the top and finish that. I'm going to select the top face, Ctrl E to extrude, and set offset to 1. This will create the interior border. And then we're going to hold Shift and extrude this face inside. Extrude one more time, move it down. Let's move the front vertices in so they don't overlap, and also move these vertices in. We are now done with the top of the water drain. Delete history, and last thing we're going to model is a piece of geometry that holds this water drain in place attached to the building. Let's enable Insert Edge Loop tool, and we're going to insert 2 edge loops at the top and 2 edge loops closer to the bottom. We're going to place them arbitrarily right now, just close enough to each other, but we will adjust them to be a specific distance in a bit. Change the grid spacing to 1 unit go to side view, and we're going to snap each of these inserted edges to the grid and to be 4 units away from each other. Do this for the bottom and the top. Then back in perspective viewport, select the 3 faces and press Ctrl E to extrude. Set thickness to 1. Then we're going to select these inner edges, move them forward, and snap them to the grid. Just 1 grid space unit. Select the inner faces and extrude them. We're going to manually move the vertices and snap them to the grid. We now created our first water drain bracket. Let's adjust the length of these brackets by moving these vertices slightly in. I think it's too wide. Now let's do the same thing for the bottom set of edges. Let's select the 3 faces, Ctrl E to extrude, set thickness to 1. And I'm going to pull each of these edges forward 1 grid space unit and select each face on the inside and extrude. Then go to top view and adjust the vertices to match the top bracket, so the length of this bracket is the same. And here is our water drain. Let's isolate select and delete all the faces in the back that the player will not see. Delete history, freeze transformations, and reset the grid back to 10. One last thing we need to do is change some of the edges at the bottom of this water drain to soft edges. So first, toggle the display of soft edges. Double click to select this edge ring. Hold Shift, right click hold. Go to Soften and Harden Edges and choose Soften Edge. Then select this edge ring inside the water drain. Press G to repeat last used command to soften the edge. Disable wireframe unshaded so we can see the shading better. And we need to do this for one more edge, which is inside the pipe. So select this edge ring and press G to soften the edge. And we are now done with the water drain.